and the road department, Montana Internet did not list what their speed was previously. I'm assuming it was a 3 meg by 1 meg, but I have no proof because there was nothing on here. Then over at the Internet is ECC, and I'm thinking that's the Fairgrounds Emergency Center. That's what I assume based on my experience. So they had CenturyLink for internet, and they had a 3 meg connection. Then at the courthouse for the 497.57, you had a 10 meg by 10 meg for your internet here. It also goes to like extension previously because you used to use point to points. It's type of a technology. So they were using that internet. So based on all of those phone bills, and I think this is based on my past experience, this was 100%. So I kind of wrote my comments on the top of which each one went with those line items. So those, if you need to verify, that is there. So the next step I did was I looked at Blackfoot's original proposal, and this is the sheet that I was given. It's one of the little handouts, and it said Blackfoot Original. Based on what I saw on there were a couple things they were missing when they were looking at their phone bills. The things they were missing were the E911 center. They said it was $591, and that was closer to the $1,069. So I'm not sure if they did not have all the bills or what, but their estimate was low there. Clearfly was right on. That was approximately the bill, including taxes and everything on there. So this is the one that I'm looking at. Okay, so then on their proposal, I did the second full column where it says Blackfoot original proposed connectivity. Some of the things they were missing when they gave you that $2,618, one thing that they had missed was they did not put in their proposal the fact of what your E911. So they, as you can see, I put not available. They did not put it on there. So they did not include the $1,069.35. They also, based on, I did not know how they broke it down because down below it says the services. So what I did was I just put what their monthly is. So that's the $2,039. And then they were going to offer the Blackfoot Wireless, which is the 75 at your 4 remote sites. And then the internet, back then, it started at the 20 megs by 10 megs. So I took the information that was in this column right here and put it on the second full section of the audit. Okay? Then the next audit we were given, that I was given a copy, was the one that was dated April 2019. And on this one, I put their new services. As you can see, I knew how many fax lines was on there. So that was 885.50. And then the phone, the dial tone would be 687.75. Now your voice channels are now going through the same circuit. Previously with Clearfly, we had this circuit for voice, this circuit for your data. Now everything is going through one circuit. And when you put everything through one circuit, that can cause voice quality issues if there is not voice prioritization or QoS, which stands for quality of service. Okay? Quality of service or voice prioritization can be put on by their equipment, as Clearfly did, or those two items can be put on by your network equipment. That's really technical. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
So that's why I put voice circuit for dial-tone is included down below. So I listed the fax numbers and then the dial-tone. The one item on there is where they said the CenturyLink 911. Again, they had underestimated the cost. The cost for the E911 service based on your bills should have been $1,069.35. And they also did not include long distance on there, so that's non-applicable. Then on their proposal, they had it 4 sites. They put Montana Internet for those remote sites on their quote. So right here, they had the Montana Internet and they had the E911. So that was on the sheet that was given for there. Another thing I noticed, if you look at the old services, they have one of the bills, the 2663441. That bill is also included in the account 406-111-3781. So if you look in the bill for the E911 services that starts with an M, the M is a consolidated account. So there are 3 different accounts in there. And so what they did was they listed the I gotta make sure I get the 3441. They listed as 366.77, but that was already in the 1066.69. So I did notice that on that page. Let's see. Okay, and the Clearfly bill was right on. So in the third section, you will see, based on their information here, I couldn't break it down. I did as best I could. And that is what they said was going to happen. Then I took the most recent bill, which was the date of April 1st from Blackfoot. And in analyzing that bill, what I found is your dial tone based on the 23 channels. And what they did for long distance, and again, I could be wrong because I was looking at their bill and interpreting it based on the contract that you signed. For example, in that 538.71, they are charging you approximately $30 for unlimited long distance. So that's included in that 538.71. And then I already talked how Blackfoot is carrying their voice through that new circuit down below. Okay. And then their DIDs, they are charging $14.25 for your, all your direct lines in each department's direct line.
Is that each?
No, that's
Okay.
total.
All right.
All of these are total.
Okay.
Yep. And then they are charging long distance on your analog lines. So with your analog lines are like your alarm lines, your fax lines, etc. So very little, but that is a $3.23, the long distance on the analog lines. Then the analog lines came to $885.50, and previously they were $39.95. And if you look at my observations down below, so the analog and copper lines were $39.95 and went up to $55. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, that is happening across the board. CenturyLink is the company that takes care of the copper that's in the ground. They receive federal access money from the government to maintain the copper lines in the ground. My understanding is, and I could be wrong, I think, and you'll have to clarify that with Blackfoot, but with everybody else, they are reselling CenturyLink phone lines. And they're probably doing it at the cost. That $55 is probably what CenturyLink is charging Blackfoot. But the voice channels, the PRI, those numbers belong to Blackfoot, but I'm pretty sure those copper lines are resell from CenturyLink. CenturyLink wants to get out of the copper line because they put in all the copper cables years and years ago. They keep raising the price. And so with Clearfly, you were previously grandfathered into the $39.95. Okay, if you make a change or anything, that's why it went up. So if you're asking me if that's a fair price, that's probably what's happening, is that. What I would suggest we start to look at for those fax lines to try to get this bill, I think there's some fax lines that maybe people could be sharing. The other idea, and I'm told Blackfoot has not quite done this, is go to what's called an ATA fax. What it does is the fax comes through the internet, then it goes to what's called an ATA, analog tone adapter, and then it converts it to analog to a regular fax machine. The cost difference between a 55 copper line and an ATA for approximately 250 pages is $20 versus $55. So that's where a lot of my customers who are renegotiating their contracts, they're going to these ATA. If any of these lines they installed are for alarm lines, I suggest you start to look at with your alarm company. I'm not sure if it's Kenco or Security Solutions or who is your alarm company. I would suggest, if we're using those for any of them, you move to cellular. Again, that's where a lot of my customers are heading if those are alarm lines. Again, we can help you come and trace those and look to see. I think Steve, and I'm going to be honest with you, Steve, your main technician here also happens to be my husband. So he has a pretty good idea of which ones are alarm lines and which ones are fax lines, but that was his suggestion. Okay, so that's the $885 that I saw in the current bill. Then for dial tone fees, taxes is $187.28. Again, I don't think Blackfoot gave you the taxes, but they included the taxes when they gave you Clearfly's bill. So the total they said for Clearfly was $1,738. That did include $214.87 of taxes. So there might be one of the differences that we're seeing in the way the bills are going. Then of course, I think
Where was that at, Terry? What line was that?
Oh, that was where it says dial tone fees and taxes. And it varies each month.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing I've tried to do is control taxes. Taxes vary, state taxes, E911, one month it's like 0.0027, next month it might be 0.0028. They change those a lot. So, but it should be within a few dollars. But I did want you to compare apples to apples as you asked me to do. And then I've already talked about the CenturyLink. You have a very advanced system that is used for your E911. My feeling is it's working fabulous. It's such a crucial service to the community. I don't see any changes to that unless your company who manages your E911 system. We do not manage the E911 system. We just do rest of your phone. The Samsung phones is what we manage. That might be something we might want to talk to them, but that's something I feel very uncomfortable with making any recommendations. But I do suggest we look at that long distance and find out why did the long distance last fall all of a sudden almost double. And then on the bills, I saw that Blackfoot is now providing internet with a 3 meg times 1.5 at health services, at road department, and ECC. My understanding was they were supposed to put the internet at the solid waste, but on this bill, I could have missed it, but I looked 3 times. I did not see the internet for the solid waste. Now, I know at the last meeting, the 150, that was a mistake they made and it should be 75, but on this bill, it was still 150. So my feeling is, did that bill miss the bill for the solid waste? And maybe that, it just needs to be 75 to 75. So I just could not find, my understanding is you're still paying Montana Internet the $30. Please note that $30 at Montana Internet for solid waste does include some emails. And I know Mike said that you guys were working on getting rid of those emails, and email service and email addresses. I'm not familiar with that, but I just wanted to let you know, I think that's working on.
You have
So,
something to say, Mike?
Well, that's what it was. The $30 is for roads and solid waste for their email. They're just their email addresses. That's all it is.
Oh, gotcha,
They don't have internet.
gotcha.
and is solid waste and the road department in the same building?
No, but we're piggybacking off of the road.
Oh, so you're using a point to point, yeah.
Yeah.
So then that will save you $30
Mm-hmm.
once you get that taken care of. So there's some savings. And then your internet here in the courthouse, on their original quote, you originally had a 10 by 10 meg. The original quote, the Blackfoot was recommending a 20 by 10 meg. And what that means is 20 megs, the first number is your download, the second number is your upload. So it's kind of how fast you can do downloading and how fast you can do uploading. Okay? Then on their quote, which is, I was a little confused somewhere. On one page, they said 1,150, but then they were, and that's where I got the 1,050 on this one right here, where they said they were upgrading to the 100 meg by 100 meg. And so, based on the information that I put together, I think what you should be comparing is the 3,763.71, which is the December 28 where you were before. And then the last column, the 4,367.41. The differences I see in those two prices are 2 items. Number one, there is, I included the E911 exact same pricing, but I see it the faster internet. So you went from $497.57 up to the $1,150. That is where one of the changes, but you are getting faster internet with the 100 by 100 here in this building. My question is all your equipment, your network equipment here, able to handle 100 megs by 100 megs? Since I am not your IT person, I do not know. So that would be a question, is does that work? And then of course the fax line. So your difference of $603.70 to me, based on my audit, was more internet speed here at the courthouse and the price of the fax lines. That's where I see the difference in what you guys are previously paying and what you're currently paying.
Wow, Terry. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And this is all my documentation that you will find on this sheet, just in case anyone wanted to look at my work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you need any more copies of this audit sheet, I do have those too.
Okay. So if I may, Mr. Chairman, Mike, did you by chance ask Garrett about, I don't know if you've seen this, but did you ask Garrett by chance if we are able to handle 100 up, 100 down?
Yes, we are.
We are, okay.
After your thing, what was that, Thursday or Friday morning?
Yeah, I had a crash of internet,
Yeah, I had
no
him call,
service.
I called him, had him do a speed check, and they had put a limiter on us, and we were getting really slow speeds. So he took the limiter off, and now we're at 100 by 100.
Okay,
He doesn't understand why somebody put a limiter on us.
when did that happen? Who did it? Do we know?
Nobody knows.
Let me, just from my experience, because our company does do IT managed services, a lot of times is when you're down to a 10 meg by 10 meg, they don't want someone doing all of these updates and totally taking. Because if you don't prioritize or do anything, what happens is the first person, if they're doing updates, I'll tell you right now, it's gonna take 10 megs by 10 megs. And so then what's gonna happen to everyone else, they don't have anything. So that's probably previously why that was put on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the ATA fax, if we wanted to go that route, would we work with you, Terry?
Well, I think you would have to, yes, and hooking them up, yes, that's part of our service and our phone partner program that we offer. If you get new service from anybody, what occurs is we will do inside the connections. So for example, our company spent almost 100 hours in doing your conversion of where, because we had to have Steve here working on things, doing the research. So our company did invest 100 hours into this transition, besides what Mike did. And so, but my understanding, based on what Scott said, the contract you guys signed, you can't take your services from one company to another company if they're already offering those services. So just so you are protected, I would check with Scott, and can we go to someone else for the fax service?
Because they probably don't have the ATA.
He said right now they do not feel it's reliable. That's why I asked that question last
Okay.
week, because that was my suggestion, where we could get it to where it was almost the same if we could make those changes. I mean, that right there would get you within about $180 from what you previously were doing.
So I have a question for our health department.
Uh-huh.
They seem to be left out in the cold in this deal. Is there anything we can do within the framework we have here to help them out?
One idea would be to put a hard connection back over there, to have the Blackfoot put a hard copy, because right now they're wireless and it's connected and it's not dedicated. So my question is, if we put another dedicated service in like we previously had, where just through that circuit would just be voice, would that make a difference? And I don't know how they've set things up.
Instead of combining the two, the voice and the.
Yeah.
Separate them again.
Yes. Yeah. And the other comment Scott sent to me, and I'm having my owner look at it, they said that it was a programming in the phone system. We have not made any changes in the phone system, and it worked fine for 5 years. And, you know, I do not believe it's the phone system issue. And I know he said that we need to make a change. There's not a change we can make. I mean, that phone system, most of our service orders we did for you, there are outages, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if you guys experienced it, but if you look in Flathead and Billings, Verizon for the past week has been having issues of one-way audio. Every dial tone provider does. You know, I don't care if it's CenturyLink, Clearfly, Blackfoot, we do have issues. But the issues were very rare. And when there were issues, it was because we moved a phone or a new person was put in there or something like that. Or there was an issue with the copper cable, we replaced it, and then it would be set. But I'm gonna tell you, if a company comes to you and says it's 100%, it's not. Everybody has issues.
Sure. So Terry, could it be the problems we have at public health, I think, are pretty clear that it's the one circuit. Could that be causing the issue and more of an incompatibility issue with the new Blackfoot?
I don't know,
Service?
it's something what we can do, we can put a little device that can actually measure, you know, the bandwidth and the usage, and I could talk to my owner to see if we can put one of those in to see what's causing the issue. And I'd be happy to request that that be done.
That might be a good
Yep.
idea so that we know where to
Know
go
what
with
issue
this.
to deal with, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll have one of those, I'll have Steve come up and put one, and we'll probably have to put them at each end. But I'll let you know the process to analyze what's causing the issue at the health department.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We should follow up too with the others and make sure that any other off-site offices aren't having the same issues.
And to be honest with you, I think it's because they have 5 phones over there. You know, and they use it a lot more. At least my observation when I've been out at these locations. And Mike, am I correct? The other locations don't use the phones as
Nope.
much?
They don't use phones, they don't use the internet as much, so they're not having any problems.
Mhm.
Okay,
Where health department uses the internet a lot. They're
I'm
having
sure
a
they
problem
do.
with the downloading things too.
So previously, they had a 1.5 times 896K for voice, and they had a 3 meg, I'm pretty sure they had a 3 meg by 1.5 for data. So it looks like it's gone down where we just have one connection, a 3 meg by 1.5. And again, I have no proof of that, that's why I like to measure and get information.
yeah, anything you can do to give us more
Okay.
answers to figure this out,
Perfect.
yeah. This is spectacular to have this information. Thank you. I do wish the apples to apples had a date.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have that information.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I was just going by what was given to me.
Yeah,
But I did catch the few things on the original audit, you know, they were missing the ECC, so I don't know if they did not understand. But the one where they duplicated the 2663441, and if you look at that, you'll see that account number. Is actually, when you have the E911 services, it's listed 3 times. It's listed on the page right here, where it says that this bill includes the 3441 account. Then it actually includes the 3441 bill, a copy of it. So it lists it 3 times on the bill that is the 1113781.
okay.
So,
So it looked like 3 charges, the charge being times 3?
just that extra was double. So what they had on there, the 36677 was also included when they were doing old services, was included on this one that says Blackfoot 2019. That 36677 was part of the 106669. So that should have been a little bit lower
Okay,
based on the accounts, but they were missing a few accounts. You know, they were missing the internet for the ECC, but they doubled. So that's why their total is, my total is 3,063.71 on this sheet right here of the actual bills, and theirs was 3,875.
okay,
So that's where I found why people will say, well, why is yours less than what they said you were paying?
okay.
Just want to make sure I get all of this back in the order that I presented.
I think for sure we should put a question to Scott about the ATA fax lines and let him know that at least we are interested in that. $35 savings times 16 lines, that adds up.
All right,
And I
so,
really think we should look at all of those fax lines, because you know, there could be, they're what are called CO or POTS lines. You know, I think it's important for us to see where they are, and do you really need, that desk has one and that desk one, can we combine it? So, because those are the 16 that we need to analyze.
Yeah,
And I really strongly encourage you to, once a year, and again, it's no charge to you, since you are a partner, is to do an audit of all the connectivity bills, because we're starting to see so many changes occurring. And I think it would be interesting for me where it says Internet Road Department, put a comment right there. It's on the solid waste, just so everybody knows, because just in case I'm not around in 6 years, you know, you have that information.
yeah, that makes good sense.
Yes.
And the audit, the full audit would help us to track more
Yes,
accurately.
yeah.
Yeah,
And technology is constantly changing. That's like with the ATA faxes.
yeah. So to evaluate those fax lines, do you have the list for us?
I'll give you the list of
Okay.
what I feel that each of those lines, based on my records, if you've changed that, based on that I've not, what I'll do is, did you put me on the, where I can call Blackfoot and say I want a list of those? Is the Connect group on the authorized?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, I'll ask them for those numbers, then I will go back through. I mean, your file is about that thick. I only brought this project. So, what I'll do is look through and say, previously that was the treasurer's fax, that was the sheriff's fax.
That'd
And
be
we can actually go
excellent.
through.
Okay,
Yep, and then we can look at those and you can make a decision on that.
can we meet again on that next week? Does that
Sure.
work for you?
Mm-hmm.
when do
Okay.
we wanna get together with, Scott again?
Yeah, probably the week after when we have all that information together and see what we can do.
All right,
Yeah,
and you wanna be present for that, Terry?
Sure.
You might as well just get a room down here.
No, it's a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
So, no, I will be back next week and I will try to have, I don't know if we can get that device because it's a special device that we hook up, but at least I can let you know the plan of
Sounds
measuring
good.
that. And then, of course, the fax lines, we should be able to get that done where Steve can come and verify before next week.
that'd be
Yeah,
excellent.
we can make sure that's done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, for
Okay.
helping us sort through this.
Yep, and did you want these other copies?
That'd be great.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go, just in case your staff or anyone needs
Something
it.
all marked up.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we all scribbled all over.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay.
Can we take a 5-minute break there, Mr. Chairman? Sure, go ahead.
Just smoke them if you got them.
Maybe.
No, maybe I'm dating myself.